The Cowboy and the Apache Woman, a winter's unexpected encounter. The cold Montana wind cut through Eli Turner's coat like a knife. The snow stretched endlessly in every direction, turning the plains into a frozen ocean. His horse, a strong chestnut named Bramble, snorted and stamped its hooves, struggling against the icy crust on the ground. Eli wrapped his scarf tighter around his face, squinting at the horizon. Winter had arrived early that year, and it was harsher than he had ever remembered. Eli had been riding all morning, carrying supplies from the nearest town back to his small ranch. Food was running low, and the harsh winter had made the roads dangerous. Wolves had been spotted in the area, and rumors of strange sightings near the mountains made him uneasy. He shook his head. He had survived tough winters before. He could survive this one, too. But today, something felt different. The snow around him seemed strange. There were tracks in the snow, but they weren't like any animal tracks he had ever seen. They were huge, far larger than a man's boot, and they glowed faintly in the morning light. Eli narrowed his eyes, leaning forward on Bramble's back. The tracks led toward a small stand of trees in the distance, where the snow was darker, almost gray. Now what in the world? Eli muttered under his breath. He guided Bramble closer, careful not to make noise. The trees loomed like tall sentinels, their branches heavy with snow. That's when he saw her. She was kneeling in the snow, shivering, her long black hair tangled and frozen at the ends. She was tall, taller than most women he had seen, with sharp features that were both strong and graceful. Her clothing was simple but sturdy, and in her hands she held a small metallic object that pulsed softly with a blue light.
Eli blinked, the glow reflected in her wide, wary eyes.
"Hey," Ellie called gently, keeping his distance. "You all right there?" The woman froze, glancing up at him. There was fear in her eyes, but also a strength he couldn't quite place. She didn't answer at first, just studied him, as if deciding whether to trust him. Eli dismounted slowly, keeping his hands visible. "My name's Eli Turner. I have a cabin not far from here. You look like you could use some warmth." She hesitated, then nodded slightly. Her teeth chattered from the cold. Eli led Bramble to a small clearing, and together they walked toward the cabin, which sat quietly at the edge of the trees. Smoke curled from the chimney, promising warmth and shelter. Inside, the cabin smelled of pine and wood smoke. Eli stoked the fire in the hearth while she sat on a worn rug, rubbing her hands together. The glow from her device lit up the room in soft blue tones, casting strange shadows on the walls. "You need to rest," Eli said. "You've been out in the snow too long?" She nodded again, but didn't speak. Eli handed her a blanket, which she accepted with trembling hands. "What's your name?" he asked after a moment. "Naya," she said finally, her voice soft but firm. "Naya," Eli repeated, testing the sound. "That's a good name. I'm glad you're safe now." The wind howled outside, rattling the cabin walls. Naya's eyes never left the glowing device in her hands. Eli noticed strange markings etched on its surface, unlike any tool or gadget he had seen. "What is that thing?" he asked cautiously. Naya hesitated, then shook her head. "It's important." "Very important. I can't lose it." Eli nodded. "Well, it's safe here for tonight. You need food, too. Can you eat?" Naya's lips curved into a faint, grateful smile. Eli prepared a simple meal of bread, dried meat, and tea. She ate slowly, keeping her hands near the glowing device. Eli watched her, curiosity mixed with concern. There was something about her, something that didn't belong entirely to this world. After the meal, Eli offered her a chair by the fire, but she stayed on the floor, clutching the device like a protective talisman. The fire crackled, filling the room with warmth and comfort, but the strange blue glow made the cabin feel otherworldly. "You're far from home," Eli said. "Montana winters can be cruel. Are you alone?" Naya's eyes flickered toward the window. "Yes," she whispered. I'm alone. But not for long. They're coming." Eli frowned. "Who's coming?" She shook her head. "I can't say. But I must keep moving soon." The silence that followed was tense. Eli respected her privacy, but couldn't shake the feeling that danger was near. Outside, the wind carried strange echoes, almost like whispers through the trees. Bramble whinnied softly in his stall, and the snow outside sparkled with faint shifting lights. Eli frowned. This was no ordinary winter storm. Hours passed. Naya finally spoke again, her voice calm but quiet. "I'm searching for something," she said. "A relic lost long ago. It is powerful. Dangerous if it falls into the wrong hands. Hallie nodded slowly. Well, you can rest tonight. Tomorrow we'll see what we can do, but for now, the fire is warm and the snow isn't getting in here. Naya's shoulders relaxed slightly. For the first time, Eli saw her fear fade, replaced by something steadier. Determination. She wasn't helpless, she was strong, and he could see that she had survived hardships he couldn't even imagine. Night deepened. Eli kept watch by the window while Naya slept. He couldn't stop thinking about the glowing device and the strange markings etched into it. The snow outside seemed to ripple as if alive, reflecting faint, colorful lights that twisted and danced. Suddenly, a movement caught his eye. A shadow moved across the snow, large and fast, too quick for any animal he had seen in Montana. Eli's hand went to the rifle by the hearth. He squinted into the night, but the figure vanished. His pulse quickened. The world outside the cabin was strange and unpredictable tonight. Naya stirred and opened her eyes, sensing his unease. "They're near," she whispered. Eli felt a chill run down his spine, not from the cold. "What do you mean?" he asked. "They're watching," she said softly. "But not all of them are enemies. Some just wait. I don't know if I can trust any of them." Eli nodded slowly. "We'll figure it out." Together. The wind howled louder, rattling the roof. Bramble stomped, uneasy. The glow from Naya's device pulsed brighter, filling the cabin with an otherworldly light. Shadows danced across the walls, stretching and twisting like fingers. Eli's heart raced. Whatever had brought Naya here, whatever the device was, it was powerful and had drawn attention. For hours, the night stretched on. Eli kept watch, occasionally glancing at Naya, who sat quietly, lost in thought. Despite the cold and the uncertainty, there was a calm in the cabin, a small island of warmth in a frozen, strange world. By dawn, the snowstorm had settled, leaving the plains glistening under a pale, weak sun. Tracks in the snow led away from the trees, strange and glowing still, like the ones Eli had followed this morning. Naya stood, wrapping her cloak tighter around her shoulders. "I must go soon," she said, her voice steady now. "But I will stay a little longer. You've helped me, and I thank you." Eli nodded. "You're welcome. Just promise me you'll be careful." She smiled faintly, almost like a shadow of hope. "I will." As Eli watched her gaze toward the distant mountains, he realized that this winter would not be like any he had known. It was a winter of mystery, danger, and unexpected encounters. And somehow he knew that meeting Naya was just the beginning. Outside, the snow shimmered strangely in the morning light. The tracks glowed faintly, moving across the plains as if they had a mind of their own. Eli shivered, not from the cold, but from the feeling that something was stirring in the frozen wilderness, something that would change everything. And for the first time in a long while, Eli felt that he wasn't entirely alone. The morning sun struggled to pierce the gray sky, casting a pale light over the frozen Montana plains. Eli Turner stood outside his cabin, brushing snow off Bramble's back. The horse snorted and shook its mane, sending flakes into the cold air. Eli's thoughts kept returning to Naya and the strange device she carried. There was something about it, something alive, almost, and he didn't know if it was good or dangerous. Naya sat quietly inside the cabin, warming her hands by the fire. The blue glow from the device pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. Eli had noticed that when she was near danger, even a small one, the glow would intensify. She had never explained fully what the device was, and she seemed unwilling to do so. Eli knew he had to be careful. Winter in Montana was deadly on its own. But now there was something else, a strange energy that pulsed through the snow, the trees, even the air. "Breakfast," Ellie called from the kitchen. He had prepared a small meal of cornmeal porridge, dried meat, and strong coffee. Naya looked up and smiled faintly, but she did not move immediately. Her eyes lingered on the window as though she expected something, or someone. Finally, she rose and approached the table. Her movements were precise and careful, as if every action mattered. She ate quietly, still clutching the glowing device. "You're not from around here, are you?" Eli asked gently. "I can tell from the way you move." "You've seen different lands, maybe even mountains I've never known." Naya nodded. "I've traveled far. My people, we are protectors of certain secrets. This device is one of them. It must not fall into the wrong hands." Eli leaned back, studying her. "Secrets, huh? And here I thought winter alone was dangerous enough. Sounds like you've brought your own storm with you." Naya allowed herself a small smile. "You could say that." The wind outside rose suddenly, whistling through the trees. The snow on the roof rattled as if warning them. Eli's instincts told him to grab his rifle, but he waited. Something was approaching, and it wasn't human. Or at least, not fully. Before he could say anything, Naya held up her hand. The device pulsed brighter, and the air seemed to vibrate. The sound was subtle, like a low hum, but Eli felt it in his chest. He frowned. "What is it doing?" "They are near," Naya whispered. "The ones who follow the artifact." Eli's brow furrowed. "Who? Wolves?" Naya shook her head. "Not wolves. Something else. Something mechanical, but alive." The cabin door shook suddenly as a gust of wind slammed against it. Eli grabbed the handle of his rifle and moved toward the door. Through the frost-covered window, he saw shadows moving across the snow. Large shapes, fast, intelligent. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the sunlight in unnatural colors. "Stay back," Eli warned, his voice steady but low. Naya moved behind him, still clutching the device. The shapes circled the cabin like predators. Eli's heart pounded, but he kept his focus. The creatures were massive, larger than wolves, but their movements were too precise. Their heads twisted unnaturally, and their eyes gleamed with a strange intelligence. "They want the device," Naya said softly. "They can sense its power." Eli nodded. "Well, they're not getting it while I'm here." The first creature lunged, crashing into the snow with terrifying speed. Eli fired his rifle, but the bullet only glanced off a metallic surface beneath the creature's fur. It snarled. A sound that was half animal, half machine, and advanced again. Naya raised the device. The blue light flared brightly, and a wave of energy shot outward. The creatures froze mid-step, their glowing eyes flickering. Eli stared, amazed. He had never seen anything like it. "They are controlled by the energy of the artifact," Naya explained quickly. "I can slow them, but not for long." Eli nodded, reloading his rifle. He and Naya worked together, coordinating movements instinctively. Eli fired carefully, aiming for weak spots where the fur didn't cover the metallic parts. Naya focused on the device, keeping the creatures at bay with pulses of energy. The battle was tense. Snow flew in every direction, and the creature's mechanical parts glinted in the sunlight. Bramble whinnied from the stall, sensing the chaos outside. Eli could feel his muscles straining, adrenaline coursing through him, but he never lost focus. Finally, after what seemed like hours but was only minutes, the creatures retreated, melting into the snowy woods. Their glowing eyes disappeared, leaving only silence. Eli lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. "That was something," he said, wiping snow from his face. Naya exhaled, leaning against the wall. "They will be back," she said softly. "Others are coming. They are drawn to the artifact."
Ellie nodded. "Then we need to be ready. Whatever this is, it's bigger than both of us."
The rest of the day passed in tense silence. Eli checked the cabin, making small traps and fortifications, while Naya studied the device. Occasionally, she would glance out the window, her expression unreadable. Eli realized that she was not just protecting the device, she was guarding a responsibility he could not fully understand. By late afternoon, the snowstorm began to return. Snow swirled around the cabin like ghostly dancers, and the wind howled through the trees. Eli felt the cold seep into his bones, but the real chill came from the knowledge that they were being watched. "I need to go soon," Naya said, breaking the silence. "But I cannot leave until I understand them." Eli frowned. "Understand who?" "The ones who follow the device. Some are not evil, but others, they would destroy everything to take it." Eli nodded slowly. He had faced danger before, but this was different. This was not just a fight for survival. It was a test of trust, strategy, and understanding. And he realized that he had no choice but to trust Naya. She was skilled, brave, and determined. And right now that was enough. Night fell and the storm grew fiercer. Eli watched as the blue light from the device flickered through the cabin walls, casting long shadows. Naya sat quietly, focused, occasionally whispering to the device as if it could understand her. Eli felt a strange calm amidst the chaos. He didn't understand everything, but he trusted her. And somehow that trust felt important, more important than anything else in the frozen wilderness. Hours later, a strange sound broke the night, a low hum, like the vibration of 1,000 tiny machines. Eli's ears pricked. The snow outside shimmered with faint lights, moving in patterns too precise to be natural. Naya's eyes widened. "They're coming," she whispered. "We must prepare." Eli's hand went to his rifle again, but Naya raised a hand, stopping him. Not yet. Let them come closer. Then we will act together. He nodded. Despite his instincts, he trusted her judgment. The lights outside grew brighter, moving closer to the cabin. Eli could see shadows of the creatures in the snow, more numerous than before. But Naya's device pulsed stronger now, creating a barrier of light that kept them at bay. Eli realized that this was only the beginning. Winter in Montana was harsh, yes, but this was something entirely new, and somehow he knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with Naya by his side. For the first time, he felt a strange hope. The snowstorm outside was fierce. The creatures were coming, and the night was long. But inside the small cabin, there was warmth, courage, and the unspoken promise that they would survive together. And in that moment, Eli understood that this winter would be remembered. Not for the cold, but for the unexpected encounter that had changed everything. The sun had barely risen when the snowstorm began to fade, leaving a pale gray light over the Montana plains. Eli Turner stood at the edge of his cabin, watching the frozen landscape. The snow stretched endlessly, broken only by glowing tracks that pulsed faintly in blue and green hues. Inside the cabin, Naya sat cross-legged on the rug, holding the device close. Its soft pulse seemed to echo the rhythm of her own breathing. The events of the previous night still weighed on both of them. The strange creatures, the robotic wolves, had disappeared into the woods, but Naya's warning had been clear. More were coming. Eli approached her cautiously. "Do you know who sent them?" he asked. Naya shook her head. "I don't know all of them. Some are protectors, like me. Others want the device for themselves. They will come soon, in greater numbers." Eli nodded. "Then we need a plan." The plan came slowly. Eli suggested reinforcing the cabin with logs and snowbanks to slow any attackers. Naya worked alongside him, her movements efficient, precise, and strong. Together, they cut branches, dug trenches in the snow, and set small alarms made from tin cans and string. The cold bit at their fingers and faces, but neither complained. Each understood that preparation meant survival. By mid-afternoon, the air was still, the forest quiet except for the occasional creak of frost-laden branches. Eli thought he saw a movement in the distance, a shimmer of light through the snow, but when he blinked, it was gone. "They are watching," Naya whispered. "I can feel them." Before Eli could respond, the snow in front of the cabin erupted. Shapes moved faster than his eyes could follow, and the snow flew into the air. This time, it wasn't the robotic wolves alone. Figures emerged, humanoid, but with faintly glowing eyes and metallic lines on their skin. Their movements were almost too smooth, too calculated. Eli raised his rifle. "Who are they?" "They are protectors," Naya said quietly. "Some of them. But we cannot trust all of them." The stranger stopped at the edge of the cabin, observing. One stepped forward, a tall man with silver-lined eyes. "The artifact must be secured," he said in a calm, measured voice. "We do not wish to harm you. But others will come, and they will destroy everything if they take it." Eli lowered his rifle slightly, studying the man. "You mean the device she has?" "Yes," the stranger replied. "It is dangerous in the wrong hands." Naya looked from Eli to the stranger. "We must act fast," she said. "I can keep the device safe, but we cannot fight them all alone. We need help." The stranger nodded. "Then we will fight together, for now." Eli felt a rush of relief and tension at the same time. He was a simple cowboy used to the dangers of the plains, but this was different. The stakes were higher than anything he had ever known. The rest of the day became a flurry of preparation. Eli learned quickly how to move quietly and position himself to protect the cabin. Naya taught him to use the device defensively, channeling its energy in pulses that could repel attackers. The silver-eyed strangers worked in coordination with them, setting traps and monitoring the glowing tracks in the snow. By late afternoon, the first signs of movement appeared on the horizon. Shadows shifted through the forest, shapes too precise to be natural. The robotic wolves returned, more numerous than before, followed by other strange machines that hissed and skittered over the snow. Eli's heart pounded, but he held his ground, remembering Naya's calm confidence. "They are coming," Naya whispered, standing close to him. Her hand rested briefly on his arm, not as a gesture of affection, but of trust. "Stay focused. Together we can hold them." The battle began in a blur of snow and light. Eli fired his rifle, aiming for exposed joints in the mechanical wolves. The silver-eyed strangers moved with speed and precision, blocking attacks and striking with tools that hummed with energy. Naya focused on the device, sending pulses of blue light that disrupted the attacker's movements. Eli realized that every pulse from the device seemed to echo in the snow itself. The landscape trembled faintly as if alive. The creatures faltered, but more came, their glowing eyes reflecting the chaotic light. Hours passed in a relentless rhythm of attack and defense. Eli was exhausted, but he did not falter. Naya's presence grounded him, her confidence unwavering even as the threat increased. Together they became a single unit. Cowboy, protector, and strange visitors united against a common enemy. During a brief lull, Eli glanced at Naya. "How do you know what to do?" he asked, breathless from the cold and effort. She looked at him, her dark eyes steady. "I've faced worse," she said simply. "But I've never seen anything like this in the mountains. This artifact, it draws attention. It tests everyone who comes near." Eli nodded, understanding. This was more than a fight. It was a trial, a test of courage, skill, and trust, and he realized he had grown to trust Naya completely, not just in battle, but in every quiet moment, in every decision. The sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the snow. The attackers had regrouped, preparing for another charge. Naya tightened her grip on the device. "We must end this before nightfall," she said. "If they overrun us in the dark, we cannot survive." Eli readied himself. Bramble stomped nervously in the stall, sensing the tension in the air. The first robotic wolf lunged faster than before, but Naya sent a pulse from the device, throwing it off balance. Eli fired carefully, taking out weak points in its metallic limbs. The humanoid figures advanced next, their glowing eyes scanning the area. The silver-eyed strangers met them head-on, engaging with precise, energy-driven strikes. Eli and Naya worked together seamlessly, their trust evident in every coordinated move. Suddenly, the device pulsed with a violent intensity, sending a shockwave into the snow. The attackers faltered, and a strange wind whipped through the plains, scattering snow and ice in dazzling patterns. Eli shielded his eyes as the light from the device reflected across the landscape. When the wind settled, the attackers had retreated, or at least the majority had. A few lingering shadows vanished into the forest, leaving the plains eerily quiet. The snow glittered in the fading light, and the cold air seemed sharper than before. Eli lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. He looked at Naya, whose hands were still glowing faintly from the device's energy. "Is it over?" he asked. Naya shook her head slightly. "For now. But others will come. The artifact will not remain hidden forever. We must be ready." Eli nodded, feeling the weight of what they had survived. He had faced storms, wolves, and even outlaws in his life, but this was unlike anything he had imagined. Yet he felt stronger, braver, because he had not faced it alone. They stepped outside, surveying the snow-covered plains. The tracks of the attackers were visible, but they faded into the distance, leaving only faint glowing traces. Eli exhaled slowly. The battle had ended, but the trial was not over. Naya turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You have done well," she said softly. "Most would have fled. But you stayed. You trusted me." Ellie shrugged, brushing snow from his coat. "I'm a cowboy. I survive. And I don't leave anyone alone in the snow." For a moment there was silence between them, broken only by the whisper of the wind through the trees. Then Naya spoke again. "Tomorrow we may face even greater challenges. The artifact is calling others now. We cannot ignore it." Eli nodded. "Then we'll face them together." As the night approached, the snowstorm returned, softening the glowing tracks and wrapping the plains in a quiet, white blanket. Eli and Naya returned to the cabin, exhausted but resolute. The fire crackled warmly, a small island of light in the cold wilderness. Inside, the device glowed softly, its pulsing light casting shadows across the walls. Eli sat beside Naya, watching her. He did not understand all the secrets of the artifact or the creatures it attracted, but he knew this. Trust had been forged in the snow, and courage had been tested in fire. And for the first time he felt that whatever came next, whatever challenges, dangers, or mysteries awaited them, they would face them together. The winter was far from over, but Eli no longer feared it. The plains might be cold and full of shadows, but with Naya and the strange allies at their side, he had found something stronger than fear, hope, trust, and the certainty that they could survive whatever the snow had in store. The wind had finally calmed, leaving a strange silence over the Montana plains. The snow glistened under a pale, shimmering light that danced across the horizon. Eli Turner stood at the edge of the cabin, feeling the cold bite through his coat, but his mind was on something far stranger than the winter chill. Naya was beside him, holding the glowing device carefully. Its pulsing light seemed stronger now, almost alive, and the air around it vibrated faintly, humming with energy. The events of the past 2 days had tested them both, against the robotic wolves, the humanoid strangers, and the unknown dangers that followed the artifact. And now, the artifact itself seemed to be calling, urging them toward a decision neither of them could ignore. Eli glanced at Naya. Her face was calm, but her eyes reflected a mix of fear, determination, and something else he couldn't quite name. "What's happening?" he asked softly. "The artifact," she began, her voice low. "It is opening a portal. It's showing us a world beyond this one, a world we cannot ignore. But stepping through is dangerous. We do not know what lies on the other side." Eli nodded slowly. He had faced many dangers in his life, harsh winters, outlaws, wild animals, but this was different. This was unknown. And yet he felt a strange pull, a curiosity that burned alongside caution. "Do we have a choice?" he asked. Naya looked at him, her dark eyes steady. "We always have a choice, but the artifact will not wait. Others will come, and if they take it, everything changes. We can either step forward together or stay and risk losing it forever." Eli swallowed hard. He thought of the plains, his cabin, and the life he had built here. And then he thought of Naya. The courage she had shown, the trust she had placed in him, and the bond that had formed between them in the cold and the snow. He realized that some things were bigger than survival, bigger than the plains he called home. He nodded. "Then we stepped forward. Together." Naya's lips curved into a faint smile. She placed the device on a flat rock in the snow. Its light pulsed violently, sending waves of color across the landscape. The snow around them swirled into a vortex of glittering flakes lifted by an invisible force. The wind carried a low hum, resonating through the frozen plains. Eli took Naya's hand. The warmth of her grasp was a contrast to the icy air, grounding him. "Ready?" he asked. Naya nodded. "Ready." The device's glow intensified, forming a column of light that stretched toward the sky. Within it, a swirling portal appeared, showing glimpses of a world that seemed familiar yet alien. Mountains like theirs rose in the distance, but the colors were different. Crimson snow, shimmering auroras, and skies that shifted in shades of green and gold. Strange creatures moved in the distance, their shapes unlike anything on Earth. Eli's heart raced. The beauty was mesmerizing, but the danger was clear. One wrong step could mean disaster. And yet, he felt no fear, not with Naya by his side. "After you," he said quietly, giving her a gentle nudge. Naya stepped forward, the device still in her hands. The portal rippled as she passed through, and Eli followed immediately, feeling the air shift around him. The cold Montana wind was replaced by a strange warmth that felt alive, almost breathing. They landed on the other side in soft crimson snow, the landscape glowing with an unearthly light. Eli looked around, astonished. The world was like Montana, but not. The mountains rose higher, with peaks that shimmered in shifting colors. The forest was dense, but the trees seemed to hum with energy. Strange creatures, some floating, some walking on limbs that bent in impossible ways, moved gracefully through the landscape. "Welcome," Naya whispered, her voice filled with awe. "This is where the artifact was created, a world beyond our own, a place of power and danger." Ellie took a cautious step forward. "It's incredible, but also, I don't know what to expect." Naya placed the device on a nearby stone, and its glow synced with the environment. The world responded, shifting subtly as if acknowledging their presence. Small lights floated around them, forming patterns in the air. The sense of energy was overwhelming. Suddenly, a sound echoed across the alien plains, a low, resonant hum, deeper than the artifact's pulse. Eli's instincts went on high alert. "Something's coming," he said. Naya nodded. "Yes, we are not alone here. But we are prepared. Together, we can face it." From the distance, figures appeared, tall, elegant, and glowing faintly. Unlike the robotic wolves or the humanoid strangers from Montana, these beings moved with purpose and grace. They were clearly aware of Eli and Naya, but their intentions were unclear. The tallest of the figures stepped forward, its voice melodic and calm. "You have entered the world of the artifact. Few from your world have ever come here. You carry it responsibly, but danger is near, and choices must be made." Ellie swallowed. We want to protect it. "Whatever it is, it belongs in safe hands." The figure inclined its head, Then you will be tested. The path ahead is not easy, but those who walk it together gain strength beyond measure. Naya squeezed Eli's hand. We walk it together, she said firmly. The portal behind them shimmered and closed, leaving them fully in this new world. Eli looked around, taking in the alien landscape. Despite the danger, there was a strange peace here, a sense that they were exactly where they were meant to be. Hours passed as they explored cautiously. The energy of the world was alive, responding to their presence. Eli discovered that he could sense shifts in the terrain, almost as if the world itself communicated with him. Naya guided him, showing how to channel the artifact's energy safely. They came to a wide valley filled with shimmering pools of liquid light. Strange plants grew along the banks, their leaves humming softly. The air vibrated with energy and the temperature was mild, warm enough to thaw the chill that had settled in Eli's bones for days. This place, it's alive, Eli murmured. I've never felt anything like it. Naya nodded. It responds to the artifact and to us, but we must be careful. Others may come to claim it. As if on cue, a shadow moved across the valley. A figure approached, humanoid but with features that shimmered and shifted. It stopped at a distance, observing them. Eli instinctively moved closer to Naya. The figure spoke. You have crossed into this world and chosen your path. The artifact's trial is not yet over, but your courage and trust have carried you here. Step forward together and you will gain knowledge and strength beyond your world. Eli glanced at Naya. Do we step forward? Naya smiled faintly. We always have to. Together. They moved toward the figure, hand in hand. The world seemed to respond. The pools of light shimmered brighter, the plants hummed louder, and the sky above rippled with color. Eli felt a surge of energy, warmth, and clarity he had never known. The artifact pulsed in his hand through Naya's guidance, connecting him to this new world in ways he could not yet explain. As they reached the figure, a sense of calm settled over them. The trials of Montana, the snowstorm, the robotic wolves, the unknown enemies, felt distant. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and fear, and they had done so together. The figure nodded. You are ready. The world beyond your own is vast, full of knowledge and challenges, but you are strong, and your bond will guide you. Protect the artifact, and protect each other. Eli and Naya looked around at the glowing valley, the alien mountains, and the shimmering sky. For the first time, they understood that the winter in Montana was only the beginning. The choices they had made, the trust, courage, and partnership, had led them here, and together, they were ready for whatever came next. As night fell over the alien plains, Eli and Naya stood hand in hand, watching the auroras shift across the sky. The world was strange, beautiful, and full of mystery. But they were not afraid. They had each other, and they had survived. The artifact's glow pulsed gently, a reminder of the power and responsibility they now carried. For the first time in a long time, Eli felt hope. The winter in Montana had tested him, but it had also taught him the value of trust, courage, and companionship. And as he looked at Naya, standing strong beside him, he knew that whatever worlds, challenges, or mysteries lay ahead, they would face them together. The winter was over. Not in Montana, not entirely, but in their hearts a new beginning had arrived. And this time, it was a beginning they would embrace side by side, ready for the unknown, ready for adventure, ready to trust the bond that had carried them through snow, storms, and trials beyond imagination.